So welcome to the show, my dear, dear friend, my brother, Ismael Cala.
Hello, Devi. Thanks so much for that kind and beautiful introduction. You have made my day. Thank you so much.
I am so happy. I'm so happy to have you here. I feel ecstatic inside my body. So I always love to share a little bit of the personal connection with the audience. So Ismael and I had our love affair began in Mexico.
Yes.
We were both teaching and leading at the Chopra Seven Spiritual Laws of Success retreat that happened in Riviera Maya in Mexico over the summer. And from the moment I saw him, I felt so connected. Like I looked in your eyes and I was like, how many lifetimes?
Mutual connection, Devi. Love at first sight.
Mm. And we had this amazing experience while we were out there together. It was really magic. Do you remember that night we went to dinner?
Yes, I do. A beautiful dinner and beautiful setting, and Darlene and I and Bruno and you and everybody connecting, and it was a very cosmic chatting. I think it was really special.
We were right next to this gorgeous body of water. And so I'm also highlighting the power of manifestation because when you get certain energies together, you just can't help for the best possible outcomes. So I remember we were sitting at dinner and we were by this like little body of water and we're like, wouldn't it be so amazing if a boat came? I want to get on a boat. Two
And
seconds later,
right on cue, the boat appeared.
a boat appeared. We ended up getting on this boat and it took us on the most gorgeous, starlit night, deep night, cruise around the land. And we came into these little pockets where there were these gorgeous exotic birds, hundreds of them sitting on a tree, white against the black moon and the stars and the music. And it was just utterly divine. And moments like that are what I live for. So it was just so special connecting to that with you.
Me too. And let me tell you, it was something very special to me because, years ago, I was part of some other Chopra retreats. And this time, when I got to the retreat, I heard your voice before entering the room. Open the door. I haven't or hadn't seen you yet. And I heard your voice and I said, oh my God, what a deep, profound voice with such a sweet connection. And to tell you the truth, that was my first encounter. And then I met you and then we talked and I felt your huge electromagnetic heart energy. And I said, oh, she is a goddess.
Thank you, my friend. Ismael, where do I even begin? You have lived such a powerful life. And something I love so much about your journey is, what I recognize also in myself and in so many great healers and storytellers of the world. It's like you have had such a mixture of really deep, highly specific experiences that were so necessary for your destiny.
Yeah.
To be able to arrive at the position that you're in. And, I had the beautiful chance of hearing your story and learning from you while you were on stage and you were teaching so many deep spiritual knowings and through your lens and through your story. And, from your childhood, you went on to have this just impeccable, incredible career in Latin America. You're a leading journalist. You have touched millions of people. And then you felt the call of spirit to really take you deeper in the ways that you communicated with people and also kind of on a whole new journey. Can you tell me about that moment where you knew you needed to be more of you in front of the millions of people that were in your audience?
Wow, that's something that it's a divine calling because when I was a kid, actually I never imagined that I was going to be a coach or a guide or a spiritual teacher of any kind. Why? Because as you said, I needed to live so many kind of complex experiences as a kid with low self-esteem and stigma about schizophrenia, my father, was diagnosed with schizophrenia. My grandfather committed suicide. My aunt committed suicide when I was a teenager. And I was just raised without a masculine figure, even though my father was nearby. So, my childhood and my adolescence, Debbie, to tell you the truth, were periods of introspection and a lot of questions. Am I worth living this life? I didn't have a lot of smiles like I do right now because I had to build my smile. So, but at the age of 8, radio came to me. And there was a woman who literally became my most wise teacher of all times, which is who is Nilda G. Alemán. She still lives in Santiago de Cuba, in my island where I was born, Cuba. And, she just asked me to raise my hand in front of the class if I wanted to do a tryout, reading out loud. That was the defining moment of my childhood and my entire life. Because I just kind of half raised my hand, but she was able to see me. And she said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Ismael." "Okay, Ismael, come. Maybe you're nervous, but that's okay. Come to the front of the class, read out loud a few paragraphs, and do you want to do a radio show for children?" And I said, "Oh, yes, I love reading." That day, that act of courage changed my entire future because radio, every single Saturday, became my refuge. I was bullied at school because I was not the macho type. As Latinos, we are kind of, like strong men. Men don't cry. Even mothers tell their kids, "Oh, come on, don't be a girl. Don't cry. Los hombres no lloran. Men don't cry." So, I was kind of never understanding why I had to really use violence against other boys to defend my rights. So I was so conflicted inside. And that day changed my life. And radio and the training that this lady gave me really made me a communicator because she did everything possible to teach me how to talk, how to act, how to kind of have a better diction or articulation, enunciation with words in Spanish. And that was the first defining moment in my life. And after that, I thought that I was going to be my entire life and career like a communicator in mass media. So this second reinvention or transfiguration was a divine calling working with Deepak Chopra in 2014. Something Deepak said one day that, in my mind, kind of, it was like a drop. Like dropping gems, like your podcast. And it started a ripple effect in my mind saying, you have to stop what you're doing because you don't know yourself enough, Ismael. So stop what you're doing, abandon your success, abandon your power, abandon your fame, abandon your reputation, and take time to know yourself. And that's exactly what I did in 2016.
Okay. You just gave me so much meat. I don't even know where I want to go back to. Wow. So there's multiple things that I heard in what you just said. And first, I would love to sit in, and I really deeply relate. When you said you had to build your smile, can we talk about that childhood self that does not necessarily have mature adult relationships present, where you have to teach yourself what it is to be alive, to be human, to have emotions, and how to reconcile all of that, that experience of being a child and being really confused at the way that other people are operating and knowing that it doesn't inherently feel true to you. Can you speak to that?
Wow, that's exactly in your words how I felt. I felt totally displaced by society because my family had and still has a problem with the stigma of mental illnesses or brain disorders. So the first thing that I heard was, shh, never ask your father about why he's not working. He's sick, but please do not ask him about the illness. Another prohibition. They told me, never ask your father how he lost, when he was 8 years old, he was a kid, his left arm. So, I was a kid with so many questions that I couldn't, because I wasn't allowed to talk. So, and to express myself. And imagine if that kind of affected my entire body, that now I can understand, studying epigenetics, that my inability to express, not only to not smile or to smile, my inability to express myself in an honest way created constant throat infections. Because now we know that whatever you swallow and you don't express will sicken you. And Debbie, this is really good, because what I'm doing with you today is just sharing the journey of a wounded healer. I didn't choose. I didn't choose to be a doctor. I didn't choose to be a healer. I didn't choose to be a spiritual leader. Life chose me. God chose me, because I could understand that I needed to do a personal work to heal myself and to understand my brain and reprogram my brain and to build smiles, even if I didn't have smiles during my childhood, and to understand something very important. Our predispositions are not necessarily our destiny. If we understand that, we can change almost everything about our character, personality traits, and lifestyle. And that's exactly what I've been doing. Very entertaining, very complex, the process, for so many years until this day.
Oh my goodness. Wow. 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 And the piece that you just touched on too, I think it's so, we're just now collectively as a society, as a world, as humans, beginning to understand the impact of what it is to not be able to be expressed. Mm-hmm. And so when, that piece you said is so powerful around, I think for a lot of us, previous generations thought if someone has emotions, right? Like if someone has emotions, if there is a pain present, do not talk about it. Don't ask them about it. Don't bring it up. And so then you have people who have surrendered decades of their lives to being in constant war with themselves simply because they did not have the space to say something out loud. You say something out loud, you express it, it frees you. And so it's like, I'm even imagining how isolating for your father to have these experiences, to have this amputation as a child, to have this relationship with his mental health that no one ever asked him about. No one's ever asking, how do you feel? What does this mean for you? What do you need?
Yes.
And it's like the battle that brings inside that then passes down to every other generation, because then we carry their burden and our burden until you finally release it, which is where you landed. Wow.
And the good news is that when we understand that even people we love and they pass away, there is space for healing with them. And the good news is that the best conversations I've always have had with my father have been in this new relationship that I have with him after he passed away. He's a powerful energy. He's such a good guide in consciousness to me that every single day I talk to him and I say, thank you, Father. Thank you. I totally understand you. Thank you for how I saw you when I was judging you. Thank you for the thoughts I had about you, kind of resenting the hugs that you never gave me, even with your only arm, because I don't remember my father hugging me. And it's really good, Debbie, because, sometimes people think, okay, I have nothing to do. This person passed away and, there is an open end. And I said, no. Death, it's only a transition. And it's a transition that leaves us with more freedom and liberty to interact with pure joy and no analytical mind with the loving energy of our loved ones. So, and it's beautiful right now. And it's an amazing relationship with my father. So I don't know. I'm sad that he's not present, but I'm so happy that he taught me how to live without him. And that's a celebration for me every single day.
That is so. Thank you. Thank you for walking through your process for everyone, because I know I felt instinctively what clicked into place for thousands of people just now. You know, that there is an opportunity to even reconcile these challenging relationships. If the person is not there, there is a way to know their energy, the best of them, and not just the way that we were influenced by their presence or by their lack of presence.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Woo! That you brought forward. I would love to get into one more piece you brought forward too, as we continue on this journey together.
And I told you before we started the conversation for the podcast that we have such a connection that when I saw you and I saw the color of your blouse and my vest, and I said, "Oh my God!" You know, it's like we sent a memo to each other to use like earthly colors, but it's because I think really we have a pure and wonderful and probably historical connection. I don't know.
I feel that. You're one of the most remarkable people I've ever met. So it's just being in your light is such a profound joy for me. And I love, specifically, so for those that can't see us, we're both wearing orange shirts, and that's big sacral chakra energy. So this is creation that we're bringing forward. So we'll see how that unfolds. But Ismael, one of the things that you brought up too was your road to yourself and your opportunity to begin building your smile, to begin building your esteem, to build your knowingness of yourself through that teacher asking you to use your voice. And what is so powerful about that to me is what a lot of people do not receive, which is why for so many, especially, what we're referring to as wounded healers, why sometimes it does take a little bit of deep practice, not a little bit. It takes a lot of practice. It takes an immense amount of personal excavation to come into this space where you really understand your power. And a reason that sometimes for many, it's not inherent is one, our family structures, but two, not receiving feedback about your innate gifts, not being around adults that can recognize what is authentic about you as your own being without it triggering them and how they feel about themselves. And so to receive a feedback, and your voice is just so incredible. Your voice has been in the ears of millions, and all you needed was to know that there was value there, And so I'm just hearing the power of expressing that when you see a child, when you see a young person, when you see an adult, share enthusiasm with them. You have no idea what their home life looks like. Offer feedback to people in real time if you're able about what you see in them, because more often than not, they don't know that even exists in them. Or they know, but they have no idea that other people know.
Yes, exactly as you said, Devi. I think that when I notice, because somebody told me that I have so many things to say to the world, that I had a powerful voice to express myself, I started building my self-worth. And I started dreaming. And those dreams started to grow. And it's unbelievable because I remember that a year after I started my training with that radio personality and that radio writer and director, you know what I said to my mom? I said, could you change me from the little town school to the big city school? Would imply that she had to take me, of course, like 20 minutes from the town, a mountain town where I was born, to the main city, Santiago de Cuba. And my mom said, why? And I said, well, because I think I prefer the city because the school is better and bigger. And I want to try. So I started dreaming bigger and bigger and bigger. because somebody told me you can express yourself. Imagine that I still have with me two little booklets from my fourth grade, 8 years old. One, it's with little poems, and the other one was with two stories, short stories that Nilda, my teacher, said, please, you have to write. You have so many things inside your head. Write poems. Write two short stories. Don't worry about if it's good, if it's not good. I'm going to help you to edit them. And she used a typing machine at that moment, years back, and she edited and she kind of put it together with everything, the cover and everything done with her hands. So the love that I received from my mom, my father, but also from this vocational teacher made me the Ismael that I am today. And she's still alive. And I never lost contact with Nilda Aleman. That's her name. She has now some illness. She's not, like the person that I met, but still so conscious and also 87 years old. And I talk to her almost every month. And I visited her several times in Cuba. Why? Because I think that when you had the opportunity of having somebody who made such a huge impact in who you are still today, that's gratitude forever. And that's how I feel about Nilda. She was, and she is an angel sent to help me understand my worth in this world.
Wow. 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 When did you leave Cuba?
I left Cuba in 1998. I was already 28, almost 29, June 7th, 1998. And I left as part of a Cuban delegation sent by the Cuban government to Toronto, Canada. And I was the master of ceremony of a musical band, a cigar roller, and a chef. So we were the delegation showing a little bit of the culture of the island in a multicultural festival in Toronto. And I always wanted to leave since I was like 10 years old, because I always wanted to know what was beyond the ocean, that natural frontier surrounding my island. And I couldn't travel. I couldn't travel for 28 years. So my first opportunity, I said, God, you send me this lifeboat, I'm staying here. I didn't speak English when I got to Canada. Actually, I had to lie to be able to get the gig, because they asked me, Ismael, do you speak English? And I said, of course, yes. Because I knew that if I said no, they would look for another person. I said, I know how to speak English. I'm going to memorize my lines. And I sounded like Ricky Ricardo in I Love Lucy when I was hosting that Cuban show, because imagine, I didn't know how to improvise. I only memorized the lines. So I remember that when we were in the middle of the show, I said to the Canadians in the hall, okay, instead of saying, let's play the conga, I said, let's touch the conga, touch the conga, touch the conga. And there is one anecdote that is really funny. You know that when I was in Toronto, I said, I want to go to downtown. And I asked somebody, and somebody told me, oh, it's easy. You will see the signs for the subway, and you go into the train, and you will ask for downtown. And I said, well, that sounds easy. And you know what I did? I saw the sign, subway. I enter into the establishment. I saw somebody preparing a sandwich. And I said to that person, I'm going downtown. Where is the train? What is the train? And the person said, what train? And I said, this is not Subway. And it was the restaurant, Subway restaurant, Devi. And oh wow. God. But I have a better anecdote of my English to you. I went to the supermarket by myself because I wanted to be independent. And I was just like 2 weeks in Toronto. You know, in Spanish, we have very definite only five sounds for the vowels. A, E, I, O, U. Only five. In English, maybe native speakers don't notice, but when you learn English as a second language, you have to differentiate a lot of combinations of the sounds of the five vowels. So for a Spanish speaker, it's not that easy to differentiate. So I went to the supermarket and I love peanut butter. And I said to the lady, how much is that jar of peanut butter?
Oh my God.
And she blushed. And she said, what? And I said, how much is that jar of peanut butter? And she was like red as a tomato. And I didn't understand because I said, oh my God, my English is really bad. She doesn't understand me. How many times I have to say, how much is that jar of peanut butter? And she said, okay, do you mean peanuts butter? And I said, that's what I said, peanut butter. And she said, no, peanuts, it's something different. Peanuts, it's what you mean. And then I went to the school the following day and I said, okay, I had this, and my teacher, by the way, that was from Russia, living in Toronto, teaching me English. She said, oh, Ismael, that's so funny. I'm going to use your anecdote. That's the way that you learn a second language. No shame. Keep practicing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is hilarious. So I mean, when you got here, you just hit the ground running.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, which is just, it's just so remarkable, like the destiny at play. And I know we keep referencing that, but I want to make sure that everyone really gets that in their mind. Like there are forces for good unfolding in your life in powerful ways. We have to trust. You know, you came here on that delegation, and then in just a few years' time, you go to become the leading voice in Latin America on CNN.
Because I never lost my vision. The power of manifestation is so huge that in 1997, I was a radio and TV personality already well known in the entire island in Cuba. And internally, in the monitors inside the radio station and the government's channel, they had CNN international signal in English. So that was what I was watching, you know, like CNN, wow, international news. And in 1997, March, I remember the day that they said CNN has premiered a continental, pan-regional Spanish network, CNN en Español, or CNN in Spanish. And they switched the signal to CNN en Español. That day, Devi, I was looking at the monitor and I said to one of my colleagues, you know what? They have now CNN in Spanish. I'm going to be working there someday. That day, I didn't know how I was going to be able to leave Cuba. It wasn't that easy. And when that happened in 2001, and I became an intern, and I paid all my fares from Toronto to Atlanta for 3 weeks, paid hotel, paid everything, because CNN said, no, we take interns for 3 months. You are only coming for 3 weeks. That doesn't serve us. And I said, please, please, please. And a friend of mine helped me to secure my 3 weeks internship. That was only what I needed for Seneca College in Toronto to finish my diploma of television production. I became an intern. I became the freelancer in Canada, in Toronto, the first one that they ever had. And then I moved to Miami. I was a freelancer. I was filling in for all the main guys anchoring the shows. And little by little, I was kind of escalating. And then in 2010, they changed programming and I became the Larry King for the CNN in Spanish, because I said, let's do Larry King. Let's do a show interviewing artists, celebrities, sportsmen, writers, philosophers, spiritual leaders, everybody. I want to interview everybody. And the show was a mega success. I didn't expect that it was going to be a mega success. I knew that I had a passion for listening, that I always wanted to learn, listening to other people's stories and messages and wisdom. So I knew that I was going to be good at listening, but I didn't know that the show was going to become the mega phenomenon across the United States in Spanish for the Latin community, and also all across 20-something countries in Latin America. So that's what I'm saying, because this is important. We have the power. We have the power with our thoughts and also with our loud expression to be sure that whatever we feel possible, we can create it in our personal reality. And that's the exact thing with CNN. It started with just an intention in 1997 in Havana, Cuba.
Oh my God. I mean, wow. Where do I go from there? It's just like that is so meaningful for me because I especially am just a believer in the whispers of God. And when we really take the time to get still, we're able to comb through our life's experiences to understand the steps that have been in play for us. That is the true guidance to what our purpose is, and I think purpose is this leading connector for a lot, for many, even venturing onto this journey, this idea that there is a purpose. But I think so many people consider one purpose just being like a career title of sorts or something that like you spend a weekend kind of figuring out, well, what do I want to do and what can I make money at? Okay, yes, all right, that's my purpose. And in actuality, it's like it's all of these beautiful breadcrumbs that God leaves us, these things where we really remember time stopping in that moment and we paid extra attention to something, even if it was a commercial on television or if it was, just something very brief. That time stopped a little, even for seconds. And so think about those things that you remember. And it's like, well, why? And what was that leading to? And what was that giving me a little elbow about or a little nudge in knowing? And, eventually that becomes the sum of what is just so special and unique about each of us. And what is how we can tap into, as our beloved Deepak says, the pure potentiality that is available in our lives, like the limitlessness, the endless flow of opportunity, the endless flow of best possible outcomes in every way.
Yeah. And listening to you now, what came to my mind, Devi, is that I divide my life in two halves. I am 52 right now, and I'm hoping that I'm going to live over 100. But let's play by ear, taking care of our body with intention of longevity and quality of life. But like the first half of those 52 years, I lived with the wrong paradigm because I thought and I was convinced by domestication or educastration or education, the rush to conformity, society told me that my intellect was my savior and that my intellect was the highest resource that I was going to have to be successful and to be happy and to be productive and blah, blah, blah. And then I understood that it was not going to be my intellect, that probably my intellect without the proper energy or consciousness state was going to drive me crazy inside my mind. When I changed the paradigm and I understood that my energy, it's more important than my intellect, my life became a world of magic and revelations. Before that, when was my intellect and my reasoning, the highest resource that I was always honoring, I was so depressed, so unstable, so sick of myself sometimes, so full of myself sometimes, no humility, and life was a struggle. And it's so simple. And then when I said, okay, no, intellect, be brilliant. It's a brilliant resource, but it's secondary. Energy, it's my life force. It's what I live by and I live for. It's what I wake up every single day to cultivate. It's the discipline of joy every single day. My energy, it's what I send to the world and what I want that the world sends back to me and the universe. That's my only mission every single day, because I know that if I'm in a loving mode, I will be able to give love and receive love. If I am in a compassionate mode and my energy, it's all about compassion, I'm going to be less reactive, and I'm going to have my intellect serving me, but not with a very noisy ego. It's going to be a silent ego, well trained, at service of the soul. So like getting out of the struggle, I thought for the first 25 or 28 years of my life that it was going to be so hard to change how I saw life, because I used to see life as a struggle. But Devi, the good thing is, it's not that hard. It's just changing the perspective of being spiritual beings that need to cultivate the spirit and to pay attention and to make time for our daily practice for the spirit. And life right now, it could end right now, tomorrow, or in 50 or 60 more years. I don't care, because life is so, so much a flow of beautiful things that even death is welcome when it's time for that. I don't want it now, but I don't fear it. It's whatever it is, it's part of the existence. And that's a beautiful thing. And this Ismael that is talking to you, when he looks back and sees the other Ismael, he says, wow, this is a totally different person. The same essence, but in a different wiring of the brain, of the mind, and actually of the vibration of the spirit. And that's what makes me so happy to see that I could do something for me, for my father, for my grandfather who committed suicide, for my two aunts who committed suicide, for my brother who suffers from schizophrenia, for my other brother who now is totally healed, but for many years was lost with addiction to alcohol. So it's the struggle of entire family that now I say, okay, let's help release this, living with intention, high consciousness, doing the practice, not only for me, for so many people that I can help, not telling anything, just being different, being light. And this is wonderful because, I don't talk with so many people about this, but I have to tell you because I know that you totally get it and your audience gets it.
The way that you just expressed that was so powerful. And it was just so felt. It was so felt. And I'm grateful that you are giving such beautiful teaching in the fibers of how to make this real in people's lives. Like this is what's necessary. We have to give these deeper details, these more hidden shifts, some of these darker crevices, because who does not feel that in some ways? I think that there has been this leading ideal, Ismael, that everyone in life had a good life, and there's just only a couple of people who had it so hard or who it was so difficult to push out of. And in actuality, what I have found, it is the absolute reverse. There is this 1 to 5% of the human population that has this ideal situation that we've all kind of internalized or built our cultural understanding around, built our self-understanding around. That is what is promoted through television, through film, through literature over the course of human history. But it's not authentic to what the lived human experience is. The lived human experience is painful. Pain is a master teacher. There's that quote, that Rumi quote that it's, allow your heart to break over and over until it stays open. That is...
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it.
Experience, right? Allow your heart to break until it finally stays open. In the openness, there is no breaking. But the fibers of being, the weaving, the the small undoings that allow you to actually know and live that is what the world so desperately needs right now. how do you make that real and tangible, you know? So I'm in deep gratitude for the way that you teach and the way that you share yourself and your experiences.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just a follower of so many people that when you read the biography, you understand that they made a difference in this world because they were coherent, because they elevated their state of consciousness, because they became love, to spread love and to receive love. And you know, it's like Mahatma Gandhi. When you understand that Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change that you want to see in the world, that's exactly what we have to do. You know, we want to not have to talk about wars. Okay, I'm not responsible for the war in Ukraine, but I am responsible for the peace inside my heart. And I know that if my heart is open, as you said, and is full of peace and love, I will never be part of the war. And if every single human being does this work, there is no need for war. You know, because somebody starts a war when there is no peace in the heart. If you have peace in the heart, it's totally impossible to justify for yourself the need for war or violence. So that's exactly what we need to do right now, especially in these times. You know, after COVID, now living with news bombarding us every single day about the war, and we need silence, we need peace, we need time to really nurture our spirit, as you do with this beautiful podcast. This is the kind of content and the kind of time well spent that human beings need on a daily basis, not only when we fall, because that's something that we have to do also. You know, somebody told me the other day, oh, your meditation app, Ismael, is wonderful. Every time that I feel sad, I use it. And I said, come on, every time that you feel sad, that's not the purpose of the meditation. The meditation is for every day, because probably if you meditate every day, if you do your practice every day, you will not feel the sadness staying that long with you, because you will be able to move on, because you are meditated instead of medicated.
You regulate your nervous system. You know, you teach
Yeah.
yourself new ways of feeling in your body. And Ismael, can we talk about your book, Flow Not to Suffer? First of all, that line, flow
Yes.
not to suffer.
Yes.
What is flow?
This line is not from my brain. I have to be honest. The book started, the process of creating this book and writing the book started in 2018, before the pandemic. But then in March 2020, the book was almost done. And I was going to send the manuscript to the publishing house, Penguin Random House, Spanish division in the US. And then I said, no, I can't do this, because, I mean, there is a pandemic coming. We are going to live in extraordinary situations. And then I sat in a meditation, Devi, one morning before sun rising. And I asked God, and I said, I know this book is going to be very helpful, especially in the moments that we are going to start living for the next few months. I didn't know that it was going to take 2 years almost. And I said, please, God, give me a line, give me a message, give me a title, because this book was going to be called 11 Principles to Transform Your Life, the leader bamboo, because it's all about biomimesis or bioempathy, studying the bamboo as a plant and taking traits and characteristics of the bamboo being assimilated by humans as leaders. For instance, flexibility, versatility, consciousness elevation, gratitude, integrity, passion, collaboration. There are 11 principles or values taken from the bamboo as a plant. observing the natural laws of the nature and the universe. So, flow not to suffer, it came to me in Spanish, fluir para no sufrir, that day, that morning, during that meditation. And I remember that it said, fluir para no sufrir. What a dramatic title. We Latinos are so dramatic. We love soap operas and telenovelas. But God, if you gave me this, I'm not going to question this line. This is going to be the title of the book, because I actually think after the pandemic will be a need for these tools and knowledge and wisdom and protocols and rituals and habits to be installed to be able to kind of surf the wave of mental disorders and the consequences of 2 years of extreme survival. And actually, Devi, I consulted the title with the publishing house. I proposed different ones, kind of more positive and less dramatic. And everybody loved this one. Flow, not to suffer. Flow is not to give up. To flow is not to conform and to say, there is nothing that I can do. This is what it is. The situation overpowers me. I'm just throwing the towel. No, not at all. Flow is to understand that if you offer resistance to whatever reality you are interpreting inside yourself or in the exterior world, that resistance is going to take the vital energy that you need to create a better response instead of using instincts and reflexes, just reacting. That's the concept. I'm not saying that you don't change what needs to be changed. I'm telling you that probably you need to pause, use the same vital energy with your kind of primary force, offering resistance to what is not something that you like, and use that vital energy to pause, to breathe, to relax, because during relaxation, you will be able to create a strategy, a better designed response or answer. That's the concept that I use saying people flow, flow and create the response you need to change whatever you don't like about yourself today or the world that you live in. And actually, when I flow, everything gets solved. When I don't flow, I spend a lot of time sacrificing my intelligence and my creative energy, just offering a physical resistance to this force that is coming against me. So that's the concept. A lot of people reading the book in Spanish. Is not yet in English, but it will be, because I'm manifesting that this is going to be my first published book in English. I have one that is going to be in Amazon in July, self-published, and that's my first book, The Power of Soul Listening. That will be in English, but I want this one to go published by a major publishing house, and it will happen because it's already out there.
Wow. Well, I will be getting it, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. The concepts that you said are it is the path to lifelong transformation. So I'm really excited for all that we'll get to connect to this work and understand what living your healing looks like. You know, what deep, authentic restructuring of our brains, our hearts, and the systems we have in place in our lives. So powerful. Ismael, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you.
To see you again. I cannot wait to get to Miami and to come to your incredible healing center.
Yes. We are waiting for you here, and your son and whoever you want to bring with you, your team. Come to the Cala Center in Miami. And in the month of July, Devi, your audience, if they go to the Chopra app, they will be able to listen to my 5 sessions or 5 meditations about purpose. I am so thrilled, so grateful with Deepa, with Malika, with you, with the entire Chopra global team because for me it's a major milestone. You know, coming from the story that I'm coming from Cuba, being 29, not speaking English, and now being invited by Deepak Chopra to be one of the guests, you know, in journeying to well-being. Wow. So July, it's a month for me of celebration. I already recorded the sessions and they are wonderful. They are really powerful and amazing.
Oh, so amazing. I cannot wait. And everyone, please join us on the Chopra app, Chopra Wellbeing app. It will be available for Android users as well, and for Apple users in your iOS store. But yes, Ismael is leading for the Journey to Wellbeing, which is an incredible program we've kicked off at Chopra, a year long of having workbooks, having tools, having meditations to take you where you want to be in your life, to get you to that next level. Just always so deeply grateful for Deepak, for Malika, and for all of the things that we're able to create there. So Ismael will be joining the entire month of July. You can connect to him on the app, on the website. You sign up for the Journey to Wellbeing program. He'll have a workbook that will help you connect to your purpose, to take his meditations and to take his teachings and actually be able to bring them from your brain down into your heart. So please join us there. And I haven't announced this yet, but for May, which is like tomorrow, I'm in the Chopra Wellbeing.
Yes.
And the focus will be work. So I'm really excited to share so many meditations, so many tools and workbooks that can better help connect all listening to this new frontier in our working lives as we're rejoining the world or reimagining what this, quote unquote work-life balance can look and feel like for each of us. So I'll have more info on that next episode of the podcast, but yes, join us there, connect to this work. It's time. It's time to move forward on your destiny, on your purpose, on your healing. Ismael, I love you. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too, Devi. I love you too.
And I will see you soon. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Done.